Hello, this is Akemi.
And this is Donna, and welcome for Bringing Spirituality into Life. And as every Tuesday night here in Montana, Wednesday in Japan, we are talking live about different spiritual topics. And for all of you that are out there, shout out, give us a hello, let us know where you're from. We'd love to hear from you. And tonight, I'm going to apologize. We were running a few minutes late.
We are.
My internet had been out for like 4 hours, and I didn't know if I'd be able to broadcast. And then we had some technical difficulties on the other side, getting it set up to run as we got going. So all this new network stuff is kind of changing some things around.
Yes, I'm a little dark too. I don't know why I'm dark, but I'm dark in the screen today. So, anyways, new settings. Okay.
So, one of the things that I wanted to talk about while everyone's joining us is abundance and prosperity. It seems to be a theme every January that people always ask, manifest, want to create more, all of those. So, to you, what does abundance and prosperity mean?
To you, everyone. No, to me. Okay, you're gonna ask me.
To Akimi.
Yeah, Donna's like, oh, I'm gonna ask Akimi today. I
Yes,
know.
I have lots of questions.
You have lots of questions?
I
Okay.
always have questions.
Oh, yeah, I know you do have questions. I do have questions too, but I'll keep it to myself for today then. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'll ask you.
You never
Well,
know.
anyways, abundance and prosperity. For me, I have so many aspects of abundance that I actually really treasure in my life. So, but the most basic thing is that I stay happy. So,
Mhm.
abundance and prosperity is always a theme in life, but I always just focus on being happy and making the people that are around me happy. And that's all what I actually focus on when we focus on abundance and prosperity.
Is
It's an easy
happiness.
answer. It's happiness. It's happiness and joy. And well, yeah, but the thing is when you say, "Oh, Carla, good morning." When we say like abundance, sometimes we think of money, sometimes we think of, materials, and sometimes we think of maybe emotions or experiences. But I really focus on how I feel, like because it's an inside job how much abundance that I feel. So for me, it's not about numbers, really. And it's a lot of people say, they kind of get caught with the number thing. But I may be a person who's more likely looking at the depth and how much that makes me happy. Yeah, so
Mhm.
that's why it's happiness.
Nice, nice. And Carla, welcome. Good morning. And share us with us in the chat. What does abundance and prosperity mean to you in a spiritual sense? I know for me, I have a background in finance, and I was a financial planner for a number of years. And I always had this thought that abundance was money. Or when someone says, have a prosperous new year, you think of riches and you think of dollars and you think of coins and you think of gold and silver and all of those things, especially coming from the investment world. But since then, I have a new different definition of what true abundance is. And it's having all the good things in life that you deserve, all of the beautiful things, because abundance is everything, not just money. And to be prosperous is to have everything or to be growing and expanding all of the things that you have so that you have the ability to share in the future with other people as you so choose.
Mm,
And it sort of took away from the money aspect to me because you can have an incredibly abundant life. You can have abundance of food, you can have abundance of clothes, you can have abundance of material needs, you can have an abundance of love. And it doesn't have to be tangible. And when I was really working a lot with clients individually, internationally, there was three common areas that people wanted shift and change in. And one is health. Another area was in the wealth money category. And then relationships was the third category.
Mm.
And when I sat in meditation with that, what I discovered was everybody's looking for a life of happiness, prosperity, and love because that is what equated to abundance. And so that's my new definition of abundance and how I see abundance and prosperity today. And if it happens to fall into that little money category thing, I won't complain.
Well, it is nice to always have money handy because, it's energy. You can create things from it. It's, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yes. So Carla actually answered our question. So abundance is living every moment in alignment with virtues and trusting the universe.
Yes.
Mm. And manifestations work when we are aligned. I attracted good things and bad things based on the quality of my thinking. Hence, I accepted, learned, and changed. Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Yes,
I
yes, yes.
believe to be truly abundant and prosperous, and I believe Carla to be right on track there, because we do attract the good things and the not so good things into our life. And it's all based not only on how you think
Mhm,
with your thought forms, but with what and how you feel in the heart space and the feeling that's underneath the thought that we have. So,
mhm.
for example, oftentimes we will say things like, I want to have an increase in cash flow, or I want to have more money, or I want to create more, or a fun phrase people say is, I want to win the lottery.
Yes,
With
yeah,
that,
yeah.
that's what they're thinking, but deep down in the heart space, they feel a less than or a lack energy or that they're not worth it. And so it
Mhm,
creates a misalignment. So what attracts out through the universe and comes back to you is exactly what you're feeling, not what you're thinking. So when
mhm,
that heart space comes in alignment with your thought, then what happens is you have instantaneous results all the time and can create on purpose instantaneously, which goes into your manifestation. It creates a manifestation creation cycle. And then you are in that complete alignment. That everything that happens for you in your life comes back to you based on how you feel. So I would
yeah.
totally agree with that. How
Mhm,
about you, Miss
mhm.
Akimi?
Well, I was just like thinking, and the thing that came up in my mind was when I was teaching children at a prep school. So we have prep schools in Japan, and a student comes and say, "I have to have a better grade, so please help me." That's when I start helping them. But when they're like not aligned with their, what do you say, like their passion, or maybe not aligned with their interest, they won't make it through. I mean, they're not going to get better. But once you start teaching them how to kind of find their interest and their passion in whatever they feel boring about, it's all different in every person. They start finding that solution of how to get excited about the, well, it's grades. So because it was children, it was school, the good grades, because it's like abundance flowing, good grades coming to you as a
Mhm,
child. So when they start finding that little aspect of passion or excitement or interest, they just keep growing and growing, and then they start to get into the role, and now they can remember, now they can actually kind of become more um flexible, they have ideas, and then everything starts to flow and they become from the least to the best.
mhm,
So I was watching children do that, and then I realized that it's the same as adults. When I was like listening to you and listening to Carla, you need the being aligned part and really having to know where all your thoughts are coming from and how you're getting it out into the world is actually the way that you're going to be creating or accepting, or yeah, or even kind of allowing the abundance or the prosperous energy to come into your life.
mhm.
So, yeah, alignment.
Yes. One of the things that you said reminded me growing up. I grew up in California, and during that time, it was a very big thing for parents to pay their children for good grades.
Yeah.
And an A was so much, a B was worth so much, C's, no, D's, no. F's, you got to pay back the parents as an
Really?
example.
That was new.
And in that, what are your thoughts about paying, and sharing in money, abundance, prosperity for your children? Does it help them? Does it harm them? What are your thoughts? And for you, the guys that are listening, share your thoughts in the chat.
Yeah. For me, because I was the one who were teaching them, I was actually the one that was being hired. It
Mhm,
depends on who you're gonna pay the money to would be my answer. I was not a person who was going I wasn't after the grades. I was actually asked after their interest. So
mhm,
my point of view was I'm going to change your life. I'm going to actually find something that you're going to be so excited about so we can actually do this together. But I know that when my children go to prep school right now, like paying money and going, we don't have that refund thing.
mhm,
It's all about your child, how much they
mhm,
do. But you do kind of get one, stinky teacher, or say not really okay teacher once in a while. And if the fact of coming about spoiling your child, it
mhm,
depends on, I think, how you think about how you're using your money. Then
mhm.
if you're going to rely on the teacher, it's not going to happen. If you trust your child, it may happen. It
Exactly.
might be something, a good investment.
Mhm,
So, how do you invest your money? And what are you like what are your focus on investing? That would be the biggest tip, or the biggest, I guess, the motivation for you to even actually say that it is spoiling the child or not.
mhm,
Yeah. So I think it depends on how you see the situation. So if you're like relying on something and you always think that it's going to bring it to you without doing anything, you might not get
mhm,
anything. And that'll be spoiling the child, maybe because you're not even trusting the child because you're actually relying on the teacher there. But if you trust your child and you trust the people there and you also get involved a little bit and see what's going on, if you think like that's not a good investment to change things, I mean, I think it's all about how you intend to make
mhm.
the decision.
I know for me,
Hmm.
answering that same question, parents paying the child for good grades, I was not in that category. Now, I got good grades. My parents just didn't pay me for it.
Mhm.
And as I got older, that was something that I thought about and that I considered because money, abundance, prosperity, those things motivates people in a lot of different ways.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I thought about it and considered it for my own children. And I never did implement that because I wanted my children to do their personal best. And I wanted to instill virtues in them about doing their best, being in integrity. And then it was a little bit later in grade school that I learned that my son had a couple of learning disabilities. He was dyslexic.
Mhm.
And in certain classes, even though he did his personal best, he may not have had the grade to go with it because of some of those disabilities. And what ended up happening instead was I took him and we were able to sit down and magnify his personal gifts and find the avenues where he could excel at in the different topics. So he may not have been able to write and spell very well, but if he was able to type it on the computer, it was a whole different ball game. So
Mhm.
I think for me, it's all about instilling those virtues, empowering the children, and not having a system where everybody was similar or the
Mhm.
same in that. And
Mhm.
that's how I saw that as I got a little bit older. Although, trust me, I wanted my parents to pay me for good grades. I would have made a lot of money, but that didn't happen.
Well, yeah, but so the school system is very different from here and there. I mean,
Mhm,
I actually basically took the education system there and came back to Japan and took the one in Japan. Everybody has to be the same. And then they compare you, and then you're in a race. And for you to really be able to get your hopes up, or maybe to find something that you're special with, that's how the actually the parents actually took you to those prep schools, and they choose the prep schools. It's all depending on what the mom and the dad want them to be in. And I actually chose the prep schools that I work with. I actually worked with two. One was secret to the other. Um, they both agreed, but I don't know why they had to keep secrets. But anyway, um, but the thing was, the parents that are involved and they come and talk and ask us questions, they were the ones that were growing. But the ones that never came, the children just sat there and sat there and sat there and did nothing.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I know, so it actually makes a difference in how the parent thinks about things, and how the money is used, and how they actually kind of, um, I guess, know the how energy is important. So how
Mhm.
money can be energy, and how they put the energy into it is important. So, well, they
Mhm.
might not be aware of, but so yeah. So, but Donna, I have a question then.
Okay.
Yes. So for your son,
Okay.
how did you kind of bring out his his abilities because of his disabilities that he had?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I did do with him was have him understand what the letters were doing, because what I learned about
Mm.
dyslexia is that when we read in a 2D image, but
Yeah.
people with dyslexia and different creativity minds, what would happen is they would pick up a letter and they would start rotating it around in their mind, and it would be different letters because they saw in 3D images. So,
Mhm.
if we see a picture of a dog, you would see the head of a dog, the tail of a dog, the foot of the dog, the belly of the dog, but it's still a dog.
Mhm.
But if you did that to a letter, a B would be a P, which would be then a Q, which would then be a D, and you
Mhm.
couldn't rotate it. So we had to train his mind to read in a 2D image instead of a 3D image. And one
Mm.
of the things was we sat down and we modeled. This was an all day event, the alphabet in capital letters and lowercase letters. And then we took out certain letters and rotated them around so he could see that an N turned on the side would be a Z. And that
Mhm.
made all the difference in the world because he got it. And then what we did
Mm.
was we trained his mind to read a book, listening to the audio, and reading out loud. And then after that, we didn't want to stifle the creativity gene. So then we allowed the artistic expression to come out. So if he needed to type, he could. If he, the different types of stories that he read. And we talked about that one, you can't use it as an excuse. This is part of something that you get to learn, something that you get to magnify. Here's some other great people in the world that also are dyslexic, such as Steven Spielberg and Whoopi Goldberg,
Mhm.
for a couple.
Mhm.
But yet, look how they took their gift and how did they express it. So, one of the things that he did was he got into a lot of video work. And then he was
Mm.
able to express through picture and through video what he was wanting to create for other people as he was hired to do that. And wow, he has some really good talent. Ask him to write an essay, not going to happen. Ask me to film a video, unless you showed me 6 times, not gonna happen, but I will write all day long. So we embrace the good qualities, we embrace those good gifts for him. And then that
Mm.
changed his whole perspective, and by the time that he graduated high school, he graduated cum sum laude, and I can't say those words very well, and he had an art distinction that he was able to do in less time than it took most students to do because we transferred schools and he embraced his gifts that way. And he
Mhm.
did not have any remedial classes for additional assistance or help. He was right in the normal population because
Mhm. Mm. Mm. You learned a lot.
I learned a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a great mom. In a way, yes, you learned a lot. You accepted that lesson to come to you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Taught me a lot of how the brain works for
Mhm.
people. And it taught me a lot about myself and how math works for me, which is totally different than everybody else. So it's
Mhm.
all about magnifying your gifts.
Mm. Well, yeah, every single person is different. So how do you
Mhm.
want to magnify your gift, or how do you see your gift?
Mhm.
Do you recognize your gift?
Right?
Huh.
There's
Yeah.
some questions there. Something
Mhm.
I'm curious about, and if you guys are just tuning in, this is Dawna and Akemi bringing spirituality into life. Stop by, say hello, leave a comment, let us know where you're at. Let us know about abundance and prosperity in your life and what does it mean to you. But I
Mhm.
have a question as well about more the money side of things, because a lot of people do equate abundance and prosperity to money, and money motivates all of us in different ways. So, how does money motivate you to move forward and continue on your spiritual pathway?
Me? You're
Yeah.
asking me?
Yes.
I'm laughing because for me, money motivates me. It used to motivate me in a different way. So maybe I'll talk about how it used to motivate me. It was very, very bad. So the last coin that I have in my pocket is that did motivate me to actually go and say, I gotta do better. I gotta do better. That's how it motivated me in the past. Yes, but once I had some family, the motivation started to change. So I wanted my family to be happy and I wanted to actually help the world and allow myself to be able to be a person who can help the world and be there and also have my own needs to be met. But the truth is, I don't get so much motivated with the money aspect or the number aspect. Like I said, if I'm happy, I'm happy.
Hmm.
So I'm always focused on what makes me happy. So, of course, less money? No. I would love to have enough in order for me to live, but also have more to help others. And I've been starting to do that so then more flows in because there's more energy to be given. So the give and take part of my life is more about the money aspect of my life. Does that make sense?
Hmm. It
Mhm.
does. It does. It does. And if you guys are out there, feel free to comment. How does money show up in your life? And how are you motivated by money? Are you motivated by talk
My
here,
money.
motivated by money? And a lot of people are motivated to go out, get a job, earn a wage
Mhm,
because that's how they survive. That's how our needs are fulfilled, our food, our clothing, our shelter. And that's a motivation right there to go out and create with money. And I have to say that in the past, I've been there.
mhm,
We've all created out of a survival need.
mhm,
But more and more, the older that I am, the more that I realize that how I'm motivated by earning money is not so much what I can do with it for myself, but what can I do with it for others?
mhm,
And I started aligning myself with different places and different foundations to give back in a different way to help the world because there's need all over the world. And for me, I grew up near the poverty line and in California, and we were on welfare, we were on food stamps. My next door neighbors actually dumpster dived for food and brought it
mhm,
over. So
mhm,
I got my first job at 14 because I had a survival need of making sure that I was fed and that I had clothes to wear because those things were not a part of that paradigm. And the foundation that I'm working with and I'm getting started with is called M5M Foundation because what they do is they provide healthy, nutritious meals to malnourished children all around the world. They're in the US, 26 different countries, and they're taking on a couple of villages. So for me, that money motivation is what can I do with it? Where can I share it? And how can I create that world a better place? Because money is an energy that you can create from. And what can we truly create with the money to create even more to facilitate some of those needs?
mhm. Yes, it is something that will actually fulfill some people's needs and even ours and even the world.
Mhm.
One time I actually took a little seminar about money and how much money is in the world. You can actually count how much money is in the world.
Wow.
And yeah, I forgot the numbers, but anyways, there's visible money and invisible money, and they
Mhm.
talked about that.
Yes.
And the invisible money, we always think that, there are some poor countries and there's not enough money or there's not enough things around, but there's really no such thing as that.
Mhm.
It's just that the balance is off and one part gets more than the other. But if you look at it as a total, the world has more money than it needs.
Mhm.
So that was kind of interesting to know. And so how the country works is how and what they actually are going through.
Mhm.
And so I'm lucky I'm in Japan because we actually have all these ways to stay alive without even working sometimes because we have all those welfare going on. So some people think like, oh, Japan is a very, wealthy country. Maybe we are because there's so many ways to survive. So one man came to Japan and he wanted to give money to a man that was a stray person, and he went and started to give this man the money. And then I said, "No, no, don't give him any money because he has chances to work. He has so many chances of everything he's given. He hasn't taken. So it's not what you see. It's not how it looks. It's what they choose. So
Mhm.
don't do that for me, please." And I told him. He got so surprised, but once he studied, he understood. So there's a difference in every country, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's how you use it, and
Yes.
yes, and the intention behind it. It's a big deal. Yeah. Mhm.
Absolutely. And I agree with that. And Carla shares with us, I'm
Oh, yeah.
motivated by achievement of what I want to do. So I have a question back for you, Carla, and that is, what are some of your achievements that you have
Mhm.
made or created through the abundance, through manifesting, through prosperity? So if you have a moment, drop that into the chat and let's
Mhm.
celebrate some of your wins and some of your gifts with what you've been able to achieve as well.
Mhm.
You know, there's so many different ways people can be motivated by money, and some of it can be through kindness, a kindness motivation. Some of it can be through generosity. Some of it can be of being of service to others. Some of
Mhm.
it can be through the philanthropy work,
Yes.
charitable work.
Mhm.
Um, and then there's also the whole other side about survival needs. So there's
Mhm.
a lot of different ways and to keep us going. And then Carlos shares, starting theta healing was the best.
Mm.
Of course, yes, absolutely, because it gives you a really good, strong foundation in a lot of things for everything that you want to do in your life. It will anchor it.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. You know, by listening to you, something came up in my mind. Um, you know how we see like on the news and how they kind of report everything and we
Mhm,
think that's the truth, but it's really
mhm,
not. And then I was like listening to you and then just recognized, well, I already have, but it came back to me that the motivation is not really about the money. It's more about the energy behind it, like I just said.
mhm,
So, what are you motivated with and by, and how do you want to put your energy into it is probably the motivation that we're really talking about,
mhm.
right? It's not the money
Absolutely.
itself, right?
And you guys got it. So at the beginning, we
Yeah.
talked about your thoughts, creating the feeling in the
Mhm.
heart space. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily the thought of what it's doing, it's the energy underneath it in the feeling, the
Mhm.
intention, and the
Mhm.
virtues and those things that will drive those thoughts forward. Yeah, you got
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Mhm.
Full
Mhm.
circle
Mhm.
moment.
Yeah, yeah, that was fun.
You're like, "Don't do it to me
It
again."
oh, no, 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 but it's a good way to understand. You mean,
It is.
sometimes taking time to understand something, putting in some examples, going around in circles do.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. So,
Absolutely.
Carla's sharing something. On Sunday, I met a waiter who I was surprised to remember me after not seeing her for 5 years in a different restaurant. That's interesting.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty cool because she
That's
remembered
cool.
you and picked up on your energy, so
Yeah,
that's
special
pretty awesome
energy.
there.
Oh, wow. Hey. Mm.
All right.
Mhm.
Well,
Oh my god,
it
it's
was
only
my
30 minutes.
fun. So here we are at the end of our 30 minutes. And thank you for joining us on our discussion about abundance and prosperity. And if you're watching this after the live show, feel free to share some more comments because we'll come back, we'll answer them. And if you have any live questions for us, we're happy to share the question and answer them here with you. So thank you all.
Next week?
Next week, same time, same
Yes, the
place.
same time, same place. Okay.
So,
Yes, yes, and we do have a YouTube channel, so I'm gonna actually add it there. So please come and watch it on YouTube. It might be handy for some of you guys. And so thank you for watching.
yes. And our YouTube channel, the name is.
Bringing spirituality into life.
So just put that in the search feature, you'll find us.
Okay.
All right. Enjoy.
Bye. Love you all.